Hello, 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 hello. Welcome everyone to Bonded Thru Cancer's Health Dream Team event. Thank you for coming. This platform is designed for you. I've created this platform, because there's been such a pressing issue with disease, health. People wanted to find out about exactly the team that I've put up here, what they do, and what questions and answers can be here on this platform for you guys. So thank you very, very much. I want to thank Janice at Kingswood House for being my biggest support in launching the charity Bonded Thru Cancer. As you guys do see, there's a survey on your seats. Please fill them out when you can. Bonded Thru Cancer is a charity. I am the CEO and founder, and we're a charity that supports people going through cancer that have no support system. So my buddy volunteers will go out to the hospital, assist you through a diagnosis day, results, scan days if you have no one in place with you. Importantly, chemotherapy. Because I tell people, when you go through chemotherapy, you're not only now fighting being diagnosed with cancer, but you are now fighting to stay alive through chemo. You know, all the toxins that chemo put through your body, that's a whole nother fight. Diagnosis is one thing, chemotherapy is another thing. So if you are in need, if you are a patient, would like to be a buddy, but if you are a patient, this is what we have in place for you. And then we make sure that you eat a nutritious meal with affiliated cafes and restaurants in the area that we have now on our books that will give you a free or discounted meal. And then we assist you with your travels home. And that's what our core value is. The second part to Bonded Thru Cancer is all about well-being. So for those that don't know, I was also diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. I've gone through having a mastectomy myself, chemotherapy, another drug called Herceptin, and then a lot more, because you know it's not the end of the fight. Once you're diagnosed and you go through something like this, you still have to fight to live. And that entails a change in your lifestyle, a change in what you eat, a change in what you do on a daily basis. It's about mind, body, and soul. So it's about having that mindset to fight, having a positive mindset, having a support system, which this is why it's very important to me to have the buddy system. Support. You know, sometimes we're diagnosed with things, or things come into our lives that impair us. And I've heard it so many times, people say, oh, I don't really do hospitals. I don't, go to hospitals. There's so many germs in the hospitals. And until you're faced with something like this, then you're at the hospital by yourself. Or if you have support, you don't go through this alone. That is our mission statement at Bonded Thru Cancer, that you don't have to go through this alone. I do thank you for seeing so many men as well. Because, yeah, I didn't expect to see the men as much. And that's important as well, because you guys are the heads of the families. A lot of time when it comes to men, we don't know what you're going through when it comes to your health. I've had 2 uncles die from prostate cancer as well. My mom was diagnosed, just to let you guys know, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer. My mom's sister, her youngest sister, my sister, which in the next couple of days, last year I buried her, would be the first year that she's gone. So it was my mom, mom's sister, my sister, then myself, 2 uncles, another aunt that's passed, and another aunt right now fighting. So this, when I was diagnosed 2 years ago, it was 1 in 3. Now it's 1 in 2, and in men, every hour, a man is dying of prostate cancer. So I'm really, happy and welcome you guys for coming. Thank you very, very much. However, back to, it's not all about me today. I like to ramble on, it's really not about me, but it is about the dream team. And I think this is a very, very, very powerful dream team because, and I call them the dream team because they are #1 in this health. And we do have our 1 male at the end. It's not all about health, but we'll get into that. It's about finance and financial advice. And importantly, life insurance. And when I say that, I mean, you know, us as women take on board life insurance and our children, thinking about the children as mothers. But it's very important that the men do look into their life insurance policies for them and their children, and make sure that in the event that something happens to you, that you do not only think about you or prompt your, you know, partner, your wife, your girlfriend, into life insurance, because statistically, I would say to the black men here, we're at a low when it comes to life insurance and leaving legacy, or how do you say it, Darlington? Inheritance and third generation. So that's what's important, why Darlington is on the panel. But I'm gonna let these guys introduce themselves. So please, Darlington, from your end, can you please introduce yourself and what it is that you do? Please grab your mic.
My name is Darlington, and I'm a financial advisor with actually one of the biggest companies here in the UK called YouGlo. So that what I'm here to do today is actually the need to actually encourage people, especially our black community, need to actually have these things in place. But once the show is on, we will talk more about it. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Pam.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pansel. I'm here to talk mainly about the benefits of alkalized, ionized water, namely Kangen water, and all the benefits that it will do for you and your family. I know some people do know about alkalized water, however, there's a lot more to the water that the machine produces. It's not just about the alkalinity, it's about the ionization. Because if we give our body what it needs, the right stuff, because our bodies are made up of 75% water, then it makes sense to give it the right water to help the body to heal. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Diane Clement, and I have to say I'm very, very proud of Natasha. You know, I didn't know her before, but I met her. And since 2011, I had this desire inside of me to reach out to people in the community and to really, you know, show some concern how I can have an impact on their lives. So my role is the nutrition side. We're going to take you back to the basics, back to your roots, that your medicine is the food, and that is what I do. I cook with people in their homes. We show you a different style how to extract the medicine from your food. And that is my role, to take you back. Even with cancer, it can be conquered, but you need to know the right food, the killer foods, and the super antioxidants that you need to boost your immune system. My daughter has just left, and she had surgery as well. And she's met Natasha. So there's hope for cancer sufferers. We're here to help you, and the doctors are very impressed because she's healed up. She had a surgery as well, like Natasha. I mean, in a month, a couple of weeks, she's healed up, and she was just here. She just left because she has to go back to the children. But it can be conquered, and we're here to show you the kinds of food that you can take instead of medication, because, you know, while she was in the hospital, right, for example, a simple little thing like bicarbonate soda. I gave her 11.5 alkaline water. Pam was there. We gave her 9.5 at the hospital. When the consultants came to her bedside, they said, he asked the junior doctors, what is the equivalent of 11.5? They said bicarbonate soda. Bicarbonate soda, a simple little thing in your cupboard, kills cancer cells. So I'm here to show you, and anyone want to book a free presentation for dinner, it doesn't cost you anything. I will come to your home and cook with you and show you how to get more out of your food. And that's my role.
Hi everyone, I'm the founder of Pure Health Secure and for Cancer Living True. I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 17 back in 2007. After a rare side effect, I was left paralyzed and told I wouldn't be able to walk or talk again. But I've come through and I'm still working on my walking, but I'm a lot further along than the doctors will be. I'm now 7 years in remission, so I'm just here to share my experience and any questions you might have about cancer and what it's like to go through the treatment. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Mariam Bormand. I have both clinical and research experience. I have a clinic in Harley Street, it's called YouGlo. I specialize in aesthetics, but I have another business, it's called YouGlo Laboratory. So I'm here today with my partner, Dr. Zaida Zahur, and we specialize in private medical checks. But YouGlo Laboratories is a social enterprise, so it's half charity and half private. We intend to basically what the profit that we make from the private side to fund doing sort of health checks for the community. So at the moment we hope to work with a number of councils and do this for the wider community. We really strongly believe, even though I have a number of years experience in the pharmaceutical industry, I really believe in natural and organic and I feel I can see the benefits. Many times I've recommended it in the general practice when I worked, and I could see that people really improved their health without the need to take medication. So because I've seen it firsthand, I know that the difference it can make, which is why I'm a big supporter of what we're doing today, and I thank you, Natasha, as well, for putting this together.
Hello, hi. My name is Zaida, and as Mariam says, I work with YouGlo Laboratory as one of the directors. And the unique thing about our company is we take a holistic approach to health. So looking at your physical, your mental, and your general well-being as well as a whole, and taking that forward to help you develop yourself is the key to our business. Like Mariam mentioned, we are a social entrepreneur, so our motive isn't just profit, it's to help people to kind of get to their health and well-being where they want to. And again, this is a brilliant platform for the community to come together to ask questions from survivors, from people like myself. I've a PhD, I've worked in medical research, I worked on oncology, drug discovery, so I've worked in the labs, and one thing that's sad is that the scientists don't sometimes come and see the sufferers, the patients, and this is a great opportunity to everyone to have a discussion and talk, and for people like ourselves to see the real issues that you face. So hopefully you guys here that come take the most benefit out of this by asking us questions either on this forum or come to us. We're not oncologists, but we can point you to the right direction. We have a database of doctors, consultants, and like I said, it's not just about medical consultants, it's about well-being. So like these ladies had said, organic food, holistic food is really key to kind of doing everything, including counselling. So whatever help, whatever education you can give yourself to fight cancer, to fight illness, is the best possible thing I can say. So please take this opportunity to take as much from it as possible. Thank you.
So guys, do you hear the dream team? Yes. Now the floor is open. Questions? This is a Q&A. Hello. Does anyone have any questions for the doctors, for financial, for alkaline water? Or does everyone have this knowledge already? Please.
So how does the alkaline water really work, and how many teaspoons or tablespoons do you have to add?
Right. Can you pick up your mic? Tell me if that one.
Hello?
Dan? Is there a switch?
Hello?
Yes. Yeah, you're there.
Just to get a clearer understanding, did you say how does the alkaline water work?
Yeah, what does the alkalinity actually do, like, to the cells? How does it work?
Right, okay. Well, basically, the machine that we sell, it's attached to the tap. And what it does then, it filters out the chlorine and all the heavy metals, So that's one aspect of it. That just prepares the water for what the real benefit of it is it's to ionize the water. It's the ionization that helps the cells to then help the body to heal, okay? The water also is microclustered, which means it's smaller molecules, so it's able to go into the cells and flush the cells out. So it helps to get rid of the toxins out of the body. So alkalinity is just one aspect of the water, okay? So there's three main ingredients in the Kangen water to make it really beneficial for the body, okay?
Can I?
Ionized mean? Sorry.
Go ahead.
What does ionized mean, and why is that good?
It's good because it's a process that goes on called electrolysis. And what it means is that it puts a negative charge in the water. So most of the water that we drink, in fact all the bottled water and the tap water is positively charged, which means it's actually aging the body. So a negative charge means it's allowing the body to help to heal. Doctors have said that so long as it's minus 50 millivolts, I know it's all very technical, it helps the cells to repair. So the water needs to not just to be alkalized, but it also needs to be ionized as well, because that's the real healing part of the water that helps people get well. Just to give you an example, I don't know what particular illness or stuff that you may be suffering from, or a friend or a family member, but somebody who's diagnosed, say, diabetes, there's a lot of problems with that. Somebody in my team was been a diabetic since 2009. He drank the water for 6 months, and then the doctor took him off medication because the water, along with a good diet, was able to sort out his blood sugar level, and that meant he was able to come off medication. So the water has got some real healing properties. You've got to drink it consistently, and that's where the healing part of the water
How consistently do you need to drink? Is this every day?
Doctors say we need to drink 8 to 10 glasses of water a day, which is about 2 to 3 litres. Now I know most people think, oh my gosh, how am I going to drink that? It is possible. You work your way up. Yeah, I never used to drink water, but I found out that I needed to because I was suffering from depression. I was also diagnosed with diabetes, so I had to do something about it. So when you've got to do something about it, you start to find a system, okay, to get your body hydrated, because you want to get well, don't you? Yeah, and you want to stay well. So that you can end up drinking 2 to 3 litres of water a day.
Can I ask, what's the pH balance that we should be looking out for in the shops or when we do purchase water? I think that's important. Because if we don't have the alkaline machine at the moment, let's say, and we're not able to have this kind of infused water, ionized water at the moment, right, guys? Because we'll be working on our machines. What pH balance do we look for when we do purchase a bottle of water?
The pH level runs from 1 to 14, so neutral is 7. So we're looking anything above 7 to make it slightly...
Are you guys aware of that? No.
I've got a few bottles in front of me. Some people do drink... Anybody drink smart water? Yeah?
The dogs one,
Basically, outside there's more information, but basically smart water, as you can see, is slightly acidic. So if it's slightly acidic, it's no good for you, because you really need to be drinking.
Sorry, so you say slightly, I'm going to be prompting the team, guys. Yeah, I really want them to be able to answer the questions that I even have. So, use it slightly. So if it's slightly acidic, I mean, if I thought it was slightly acidic when I think it was okay-ish.
Really, it needs to be alkaline. Okay. So, generally speaking, our bodies, as we get older, we get more acidic. Because when you're totally acidic, you're dead. Yes. Okay? So when you're born, You know, we were born at 7.35. That's when a newborn baby. And you know that because when everybody wants to hold and cuddle a newborn baby, don't they? Because they smell lovely because they're slightly alkaline.
How do you measure the alkalinity of human beings?
Well, this is not my research. These are doctors that have said this.
Can the doctors answer? Is this any... Okay, please.
Yeah.
See if that mic is working, please.
Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Yes, bitch.
Hello? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I actually have a PhD in biochemistry, so I can answer this. Okay, so, but it's a little bit complex though. So basically we have, I think the way it works is that, so we have, obviously toxins, I'm going to try and explain as layman term as I can make it. So basically toxins, contain something that our body doesn't like. When, like, let's say pollution, every day we come across things that create something.
That free radicals.
Yes, exactly.
Free radicals. So when you hear that word, you know what she's talking about.
Yeah, so everybody understands free radicals. Excellent. Right. Okay, good. So what happens? These free radicals, what they do is they then join with water, and they form something we call hydrogen peroxide. And then hydrogen peroxide in our body then splits, and then it creates all these hydrogen positive ions. So these hydrogen positive ions is not good for the body because exactly the hydrogen, what it does, it can attach to your proteins and sugars, and it can mainly with the proteins, and it can change the function of your protein. So basically, if a protein is working in a certain way, because you know our whole body is made up of protein, everything's made up of protein, not the kind of protein that you're eating, it's a certain, you know, every protein has its own function, in the body. So you've heard of enzymes, you know, we've got structural proteins, you know, we've got the cells are made, everything's made up of proteins in our body. And these proteins have, like I say, everything has a special function. So what happens with these hydrogen ions or free radicals, what happens is when they bind to these proteins, they change their function. So the protein is unable to do its job. It works in a different way. So, for instance, with diabetes, that's why with diabetes you have so many problems, because, for example, what happens is the excess sugar in the body, when the body can't use something, it allows that thing to bind to attach to the proteins, and when the sugar attaches to the proteins and starts changing them, and when it changes, that's when you're getting all these vascular problems with diabetes. That's why you get all these problems with your eyes, you can't see and things like that, and it's because the protein in the eye is not working in the same way. The protein in your blood vessels is not working in the same way, hence why you have problems. It's exactly the same thing. So these toxins, they cause your body to work differently. So it starts to collect in your body, and that's when it starts to damage the tissues. So I'm guessing, so what happens with alkaline water, I'm guessing that what it is, as in is ionized, as in is probably more the oxygen probably is more ionized with oxygen. So oxygen is negative. So that is why it's making it, ionized. That's what I think it is. And it's alkaline because it's ionized. It has less hydrogen ions. Right. So in that way, when it goes into the body, it sort of not only does it not do the same thing, but what it does is mops up. When something is alkaline, it starts to mop up all the acidity in the blood. So any free hydrogen ions, it starts to mop up. I know it's really complex and complicated, but it makes sense. Yeah, it sort of makes sense. But basically, the take-home message is that what the body doesn't want, it collects in the body and changes your tissues in the body, and that's when damage starts to happen. So what this is trying to do, in a way, it starts to mop up the acidity and hopefully make repair and prevent any disease.
Right, okay. Did you guys like that? Well, they're available for more information.
So can I just add, the body is very, very clever. It can modulate itself from acid to alkaline, and our body can regulate itself. That's what our kidneys and other organs do. So this is a way to help your body, okay? So I don't want people to go away thinking, I've got to have everything alkaline to use. Our food we take is mixture of everything, and it's about regulating. So our body is able to regulate its pH as well. So just wanted to add that, but this will help.
Where's the optimum pH that your body should be in?
7.4.
7.4.
7.4.
7.4.
So it's slightly alkaline.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why, yeah.
Oh, sorry, you didn't answer how we could actually measure that alkalinity of our body, though.
Okay. Again, it's a little
I
bit...
don't know if you can, so...
Okay, so you know hydrogen ions, we measure the concentration. So pH,
Okay.
so pH is the log, log 10 of concentration of hydrogen ions in the body. So that's what they do. They take the concentration. So we obviously have, instruments that can measure. So what they do is, let's say if you go to the hospital, what they do is...
not money there to spend on looking at cast iron, to looking at organic food. We're looking at hardcore drugs. So that's why you don't really often get us people in a group like this together. And it's about empowering yourselves to find information, not just Google or, proper scientific papers like PubMed, talking to people like ourselves and doing your own research. So the problem with carcinogen items is that quite a lot of research hasn't been done and there's no clear evidence. But things that we're all really familiar with, like smoking, passive smoking, things like that are clear cut, but other things are less so, and that needs more research on that.
So are you saying that Alzheimer's is linked to carcinogenic materials then? Because you're saying, because I asked you about Alzheimer's and canned food, are you linking
I'm just saying that generically that there's less research out there. So with Alzheimer's, I think there's limited research, as you agree.
So basically, canned food, most of the cans are made of aluminium.
Yeah.
And basically, there is papers published to say that people living in areas where the water contains a high level of aluminium, they have found a higher risk of dementia. So there is no clear link between the two. However, there's just a higher incidence. So then it's up to people whether you want to avoid it or not. Yeah.
And also, can I just add one?
Yeah, no, you can add.
Yes. When I do my presentation for the cookware, I noticed myself, I was a bit shocked, okay? When we do the pollution test, and we leave the cookware to sit for maybe 10 minutes with the aluminum ones, it started to thicken like a jelly. And one of my colleagues told me that jelly sits on the synapses. I actually see it congeals together like a jelly. If you just leave it there, the pollution test. So what we do, we use bicarbonate soda, and we do the pollution test with the bicarbonate soda. Because if you look on water bottles, you've got bicarbonate soda as an ingredient. So we use it to mimic the minerals in the food. And that's what I've noticed in the cookware. It goes thicker. And I say, oh my goodness. Yeah, that's what's happened. So it sits on the brain, that kind of jelly-like stuff. And someone did show me a video, and I said, oh my word, with the doctors and scientists. I wish I'd had a copy from him, but he did show it to me.
I think what she means scientifically, the jelly stuff. So
What is that jelly?
Yeah, so basically nerves, your neurons in the brain, they have what we call a body and the cell body. And on the cell body, like I mentioned, there's lots of proteins on the actual membrane, and also when two neurons, they synapse, so they come together. When you have an impulse traveling through one neuron, it's there's a chemical that gets released and gets transferred onto another neuron, and then that's how an impulse or a nerve, a nerve fires, and it gets transferred. So that neurotransmitter, that chemical that goes from one neuron to another one, that neurotransmitter is made of protein. So like I say, everything's made of protein. So in our body, everything has their own specific functions. And like I say, there's a lot of evidence to show that there are things that can change the function of the proteins. And once the protein, it changes function, for instance, let's say a protein that sits on the membrane, on the cell membrane, and its function is to go inside the cell and do stuff. When you change its function, when you change the structure and then the function, it can't go into the cell anymore. It's sitting there, and the jelly thing is that clumps. So what you do is other cells that have that same protein and it's not working, it's not going in, it all starts to stick together. And that's what Alzheimer's is, basically.
Yes.
Yes, is there another question?
Well, let me. Water is very essential.
So everybody should buy water. It's so important. Nutrition, but the cooking, I mean, there's no two ways about it. It's also very good. With two of those, you're looking at very high heights of being healthy, right? With the cooking, and of course water. And then nutrition. My happiness is, general question to the scientists here, that they are now embracing nature. This doesn't used to happen before. So this is
only on the team. It's only here you're gonna find this. So you see where it's happening, only here, where you see it merging together.
And so I'm so happy to see that you have opened up. You used to lock yourself inside that science and being a doctor and wouldn't want to know what is happening outside before now. But the question is to the doctors. My primary chemistry lectures says you can't there's no way you could put two particles together without chemical involved in it. Am I right in saying? Educate me if you can.
Particles. Two particles.
Particles. There's no way particles can
come together without
chemical.
Artificial, you mean?
Only oil and water?
No.
This is correct because this is a primary.
Oh, I think what you mean is you can't form a compound without a chemical reaction, without some external energy.
Without chemical, there cannot be a reaction. Is that true?
Yeah.
That's true, right? Okay. And so it then begs to ask, how much chemical is allowed by the body to absorb at how long a time? And so there's another leading question to that.
Right. Shall I answer that first?
Please.
Okay. So your liver, its role is to metabolize everything. Okay. So the liver, if you have too much sugar, it turns it into fat. If you're eating too much protein, it turns it into something else. So the liver is the main organ that detoxifies your body. So it will remove everything from your body. Anything that your body doesn't use, yeah? The liver will remove it, either store it or change it so that it can be excreted, yeah? Now, how much your body can take, how much your liver can work, depends on your liver, yeah? Everybody's different, okay? That's why you have some people who binge drink every day of their lives and they're still healthy at 80 and 90, right? In the practice, I've had alcoholics who, honestly, they're more healthy than me, okay? And yet, you have some people who, they might have completely healthy lives, but, they suffer from diseases very easily. So not everybody is the same. I can't turn around to you and say, if you have if you have a bottle of water, of the smart water, you're going to, get a disease or you're going to have something. That's down to you. That's how your body functions. Of course, the more you try and keep yourself healthy, the better your enzymes will work, the better your organs will work, and the more toxins. Because regardless, even if we are doing this all the time, even if we're drinking this water, even if we are using these cooking utensils, you are still exposed to toxins. You're going to go out, you're going to have a whole lot of pollution into your body. It's proven. People who live in cities, you look at their lungs and they're completely black. Yeah, you don't have to smoke to suffer from asthma, or you don't have to smoke to suffer from COPD.
Right.
So you're still going to be exposed to toxins. But what the whole idea is that these will help, to reduce the toxins, the effect of the toxins in your body. We're
so
just
is it fair to say lifestyle?
Yes.
Lifestyle is very important. The way we live, the way we eat, certain habits, not too much of this, not too much of that. So lifestyle, again, exercise, diet and exercise, they're key. Am I okay to say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because, we sometimes with these diseases and cancer and different things, we still find people that exercised all their life, like you're saying, drink, and and they still fall short. They still end up with a disease at some point, or can. However, I do believe, I am a firm believer, especially being diagnosed and then also, having a point in my life where lifestyle change is a must. You know, we can't continue to eat all of the McDonald's, all of the things that are on the corner, fast foods, all of the sweets, and believe that nothing's gonna happen, because it is statistically proven that these things do cause disease. So lifestyle is very important, that we change our lifestyle as well.
And can I just add
Yes.
a couple of things? When we do drug discovery, the original, if you saw the original source, is actually from, you know, organic things, from fruit, from vegetables, from tree bark. One drug discovery I was working with was originally from a rainforest in Africa on a tree bark. So they do come from a natural source, you know, and that's what we are purifying it to kind of give it quantities that we're sure of, and we can test it and be more scientific. So that's the route that drug discovery take. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
So while you're on that point,
Yes.
is it true, or is this sentence I'm going to say in the next second true, if one says, doctors of the future will no longer treat with drugs, rather they will prevent and cure with natural nutrition. How true is that?
I think with quite a lot of science at the moment, we're seeing a plateau of drug discovery. You know, it's really hard to cure things like HIV, cancer. You know, we've reached that maximum where we think, okay, we've done our most, it's plateaued, it's up to you. And I think when we reach that point, then it is going to be up to you for lifestyle changes. And I think the future is going to be preventative. That's where I think it's going to... At the moment, doctors wait till you have a symptom. They're like, oh, you've got a symptom, here's a drug. And I think the future will be that's completely gone. You're becoming maybe more routine, like we do health checks. You're coming in every year, monitoring your health, pinpointing it very quickly, checking your lifestyle, and pinpointing your lifestyle, what you're eating, before anything happens. So I think that is where the future is going to go, because this is not sustainable the way it is.
Exactly, yes, I totally agree. And I think the problem is that obviously the NHS, you know, treating a disease it has a huge burden on the NHS. So exactly like my colleague said, is that by preventing it, you're not getting to that stage where you actually have to spend lots of money, because pharmaceutical companies, of course, take a huge amount, you know, by selling these drugs to the NHS. So the NHS at the moment is losing out a lot of money. So what the whole idea is that this preventative, catching any illnesses before they develop further, that's the key thing. And I think I urge everybody, I think we don't, and I didn't realize this until I started doing it on my patients, and when you start doing health checks on clients, sometimes they come in, sometimes people just come in and they say, and when you ask them and say, why are you doing this health check? And they say, you know what, I just feel tired. That's all it takes, like, for them to come and have this done. And you know, you look at them and they're completely normal. You know, they don't have any other symptoms, they just feel tired. And you do the health check on them, and they have all these sorts of problems, you know, their blood, there's so many abnormalities in the blood. So I really urge everybody to really monitor their health. And also the other thing is that if you're going to your GP practice and you're having your blood test and you're having your health checks with your doctor, make sure that you always keep a copy, a record of those tests. Because, you know, you are in control of your health. You shouldn't, I think so far the tradition has been that, you know, we just let the doctor decide and we just let the GP knows best. No, honestly, I don't think that should be the case. I think everybody should take control of their health. Everyone should have a record, their medical record. Everybody should know when you have the test. Ask your GP to actually give you a print of your blood test, and have it, like, create a file for yourself, so that wherever you go, or, you know, if the doctor changes, or you need to be aware. Because a lot of the times happens that, you know, the doctor will look at your blood test, and if, you know, he'll just say, okay, yeah, it's all normal. But I think if you know and you have the previous records, you can, if suddenly something changes, you actually can go back and you can see a trend. And the trend is what we're looking at to see if anything's changing, and that's very important.
Can I just add, Natasha?
Yes, please.
Sorry, that we don't want to give anyone false hopes. You know, lifestyle, exercise, food is brilliant, but it doesn't necessarily stop you having any illness or disease. It's just empowering yourself to do the best you can. And if you have the disease, to make yourself, empower yourself to do the best.
Yes.
You know, you can't get away from the fact that 5 to 10% of genetic makeup is the reason why you have the disease. You know, your genetic is a factor, like we talked about the liver. So it's just empowering yourself, but not thinking that this is everything.
Yeah, because just piggybacking that again, being diagnosed, there are still some important measures that you should take, and diet and exercise are important even just on the fight of chemo. So, if you feel that when you're doing chemo, you don't have to think about eating correctly now because the disease has set in. No, you need to be eating in order to get through the chemo, in order to live. So yes, we're not here to play God, but we are here to say prevention, and this is why we have this platform now, is better than cure. And awareness. This is what this platform is, to make you guys aware that you need to eat right, you need to exercise, you need to do meditation, you need to have mindfulness, at the top of the brain. That's why I wanted to talk to, because we are leaving 2 people out on the panel at the moment, and I just want to get them in, because I want Cece to talk, as she was a diagnosed cancer patient and survivor and a fighter, how important the healthy lifestyle is while being diagnosed, while fighting still today, while we're here. Please.
For me, it was detrimental because without it, I wouldn't be here today. Because before I was diagnosed at 17, I was like a typical teenager, eating a lot of junk food, KFC after college, not drinking my water, not really eating my vegetables. And then when I was diagnosed, I was like, right, I need to just really look at my diet and my lifestyle and change it, because it was probably that put me in this kind of situation. So I knew it was time to really be serious about what I'm putting in my body, and I now drink 2 liters of water a day. So I just think it's so important that we look at what we put in our body. Even when you go to the supermarket, a lot of people are there counting their calories. But it's not the calories you should be looking at. It's the ingredients, because can you even pronounce the words of the stuff that you put in your body? It's so important to pay attention to what you're putting in your body and just be mindful of that stuff.
So Diane, with that even being said, can you explain what happens to cells, cancer cells, and because, we call it a disease, but it's kind of a lack of nutrition, am I right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When the cells, doctors as well,
yes.
when the cells become cancerous?
The problem people having, it's not myself, I was ignorant about the cookware and food. Most of you haven't got the right equipment. Your kitchen is your clinic and your food is the medicine. So if you haven't got the right equipment in the first place, it's impossible to extract the nutrition from the food. Because what it is, the people don't have the formula. That is why we're cooking with you. We have to cook and show you why we don't peel, where to look for the nutrition of the food that's grown under the ground, above the ground, what temperature to cook. So if you don't have those basic stuff, it is in vain. That's why most cancer patients die quickly, because their immune system is pretty low. Because you're eating, but there's nothing in the food.
But what exactly is happening with the cells? Okay, maybe. Oh, please.
Okay, so we don't really know what actually causes cancer. We know 5 to 10% is genetic, it can be carcinogenic, it can be environmental, it could be a number of things. So what actually happens is your cell malfunctions. It just carries on replicating. It doesn't know when to stop. So it carries on growing and growing. So the cell cycles, so your cell has a cycle where it's born, divides, and then dies. And what happens with the cancer cell, it doesn't know when to die. So it carries on dividing, and that's why you get a lump. And when the lump gets a certain size, the cancer it's very, very clever. It starts to form its own blood vessels, so it can get its own nutrients. So it forms blood vessels, the cancer can get bigger. And once it's as large as size, it can metastasize, which means bits of it can chip away, travel through your lymph, through your blood, and start setting up base somewhere else. And that's where you have a kind of cancer spreading through your body. So unfortunately, it's a very complicated system that people don't know why a normal cell that's supposed to die all of a sudden becomes immortal. Why does that happen? And there's lots of pathways. It's very complicated way of regulating the cells. And these cancer cells are very clever because, like you do chemotherapy, and then you go for another cycle of chemotherapy, and you can be resistant to chemotherapy. So these cancer cells are clever. They're surviving. So it's a really complicated. That's why scientists don't have the answer to this. Do you want to say something as well?
Okay, going back to nutrition again. Okay?
Yes.
Every disease starts with an inflammation, and oils in the body is like a fuel to the fire. When you take too much sugar, it turns to starch, and it's too much sugar turns to sugar. The sugar turns to the fats. Right. So all of these different things that we do, that is why we go house to house, cook with you and show you. Those of us who are from Africa and from Caribbean, we have cancer killer foods. And that is why I was able to help my daughter so quickly. They are cancer killer foods, like the moringas, but those who are not from those kind of regions, they wouldn't know that. They are actual fruits and veg that kills cancer.
And is that why there's less, I guess?
Yes, it kills cancer. So while you're trying to kill the cancer, which I did with my daughter, I cornered it, I used the water, the killer foods, and then I used the nutrition, super antioxidants. So it's very complicated. So it needs the dream team and people like us to take them through that journey.
Can I just ask you quickly, what are some superfoods that you can announce?
I would like Rebecca over there to help me over there. Just use you. We've got the moringa, the sour, sour salt? It's 10,000 times there, sour salt. What else we have? Guinea hen weed. We have all those kind of things that kills cancer. Okay? You can kill cancer. So my daughter went back, it was about after 4 weeks now, had a blood test, and there's no cancer cells in her body. You have to know it. You need an expert like us to show you and to guide you. And the water plays a very important part. It's liquid, so it can't hide anywhere in the body. Once your body is alkaline, cancer does not like an alkaline body. It likes acidic. It's meats and all the different things that people are eating. And even if you don't have this alkaline water, when you have in your veg and you wash it under the tap water, the pollution and all those pesticides are still on those vegetables and food because the farmer, they have to spray it with water-proof, is it pesticides? So when the rain comes, it doesn't washes it off, or the insects doesn't eat it. So whichever way we think, the air we are breathing, right, I've seen in the paper last week, it says killer. What is killer pollution? It damages your cells. So if your cells are breached and damaged, then it's very serious.
So the the superfoods,
yes,
and the alkaline water,
yes,
help to free the free radicals.
Yes.
Am I saying it right?
Yes, antioxidants.
Right.
Get rid of the free radicals. Okay?
Antioxidants. So anything high in antioxidants.
Yes, all
will help you to fight
we got
the
some
free
outside there,
radicals.
the trebles on your thing. It has 174 micronized superfoods. And my friend across there, Rebecca, I've been working along with her because she's the biomineral, is it biomineral balance?
Yeah, I'm a medicinal herbalist and nutritionist.
That's it. So I've been working in conjunction. So what I don't know, I'll tap into her and she'll supply lots of these stuff.
Okay.
I just want to complement what you just said. Actually, there's data and published data out there that herbs, supplements, vitamins do help. Paper I was reading about the other day, turmeric,
Yes.
has shown inflammatory responses, but the problem is scientists, doctors will not recommend turmeric and cumin because there's not clinical trials out there. They haven't done, yeah, because I know someone mentioned they take high dose turmeric, and like anything, if you take mega doses, it also has side effects because you're using it as a medicine. So the issue is that, you know, I do endorse what you say, eating healthy, taking these, you know, good quality food like herbs and spices like cumin, like things that I've researched. Turmeric do have anti-inflammatory properties, and there's a list out there that again you can research and include in your diet. But we wouldn't recommend mega doses because of the side effects it can also have because you're using it as a medicine.
So does that mean, again, too much
Yes, exactly.
can cause something else?
So I know with a paper I read the other day with turmeric, high mega doses of turmeric can lead to blood thinning properties. So if you have blood problems, that's really negative. So you're
it's
swapping one problem to another.
Right, so it's important to be aware of what it is that you are taking in your body, because something good, I would even piggyback that again, that when my sister was diagnosed, she had a hormonal driven cancer, and something as natural as a tomato went into the body and acted as estrogen and fed the tumor. So, you know, when we're having our salads and we think that we're just eating all the natural foods because we're doing the right thing, it is very important to know your body, know what, if you are diagnosed, what you're diagnosed with and what is driving it, and what to take in. Your diet and nutrition, once again, is very, very important. Yes, Cece.
And also with the whole like knowing your body, I think it's important that when you do eat some foods, you pay attention to like the side effects it may have. So you may have a food that makes you tired. That could be your body saying, I don't really agree with this food. So it's good to really kind of link with your body and to get to know what feelings are telling you, yes, I like this, and what feelings are saying, no, this isn't right.
Are there any questions? Yes, in the back.
Yes, you mentioned turmeric, and I was obviously going to ask about that. Now, how much is too much?
Because there's no real clinical trials or really hardcore data, I can't give you that answer really.
If you eat too much of it, it can cause constipation.
Yeah,
because of the high content of oil that's in it. And apparently, you're meant to have it with milk, but not cow's milk, maybe coconut milk with black pepper. And
Black pepper is very good. It also shows anti-inflammatory properties. But again, with all these things, a doctor will never mention because there's no real clinical trials that spent thousands of pounds analysing. So I'm afraid we can't really tell you that really.
Yeah. Yes.
The reason I asked that is that a friend of mine was suffering with her stomach, ulcers, lots of ulcers, going to the doctor, couldn't get any help with it, and started to the ground turmeric, not the actual, the ground one, a little bit in water and hot water, every drank that. Ulcers gone.
Well, like I said, ginger and all these other things, that because in science we break it down, like you mentioned, into the tiny chemicals, sometimes we'll be getting other properties that we are missing. So when you take it as a whole, it's complementing everything together. So when you isolate it down into its individual properties, you might never get the wholesome benefit from it. So that's one thing to consider.
We have another question here.
Yeah, it wasn't a question, it was more of a statement.
Yes.
But what I wanted to say was it's all well and good to have all these healthy foods and things like that, but also you have to look at your organs and how they're working, and also the lymphatic system, because a lot of the time these pathways are all blocked. So if we're not detoxifying things like the liver, pancreas, all these organs, and the lymph itself, then all these nutrients that we may be taking through the food, they will not absorb into your body. So you have to make sure that all these pathways are open.
And how do you make sure?
Well, the way to make sure, I mean, normally what I do is I have a select certain herbs that I use. So things like milk thistle, dandelion, burdock, yellow dock, there's sarsaparilla. So they
detoxify?
Yeah, so they cause symptoms like sweating and things like that. So one of the things that is very important also when you've had chemo, radio or anything like that, it's really important to do that cleansing, because often once the cancer cells are dead,
Yes.
they stay in your body and you need a way to get them out of your body, remove them from your body.
Right.
So often they can grow back if you don't correct that imbalance with the lymphatic system. So that's really
So doctors or can Pamela or Diane just piggyback that? Because definitely, yes, you are 100%.
Yes, she's correct. But one good thing is it's going to bed early at the right time. The body has a clock. Rest. And the body removes its waste from a certain time to a certain time. You have the lymph gland removes waste at a certain time. Then your kidneys remove the waste. And then when it comes to the morning, then the small intestine is looking for that breakfast. So the body has a clock to remove waste, so we tend to go to bed late, I should say, sorry.
Yes.
We go to bed late, so...
Because of lifestyle again.
Lifestyle again, so the less time the body would have to remove all these toxins from itself. So the first thing what you do in the morning, when you wake up, we go to the loo, don't we?
Right.
So if you go out, you have to put back in the water. First thing in the morning. Just like having a shower, right? You put your soap and you scrub yourself. So what do you use to clean it? Water. And do you use a little glass of water to wash off the body? So the first thing you have to put more of the water into the body. The body needs the water, more of it.
In the morning.
In the morning. Yeah. The majority of your water is to be taken in the morning to remove the rest of the toxins out of the body.
Thank you. One sec. Can I just take this question?
Okay, has anyone on the panel read any papers or heard anything about if the bleaching process of food or if there's a link between sugar and cancer? So bleaching process of food, has anyone read any papers on a link between the bleaching process being linked to cancer or being carcinogenic? Or has anyone read any papers on the link? Or if there is a link between sugar and
I can answer for sugar, I'm not sure about sugar. The issue around sugar is that our body, again, is very, very good at regulating itself, or else you have diabetes, you have other issues. So if you're generally healthy, if you eat a high sugar food, you should be able to clear it in your body, okay? So that's one thing. And whether cancer feeds on sugar, I'm afraid there's no scientific evidence to suggest that, whether people on the panel disagree, but from...
I'm sorry, am I looking crazy? Is there not?
I've just been from a nutritionist and dietitian conference, and they had, they're talking about this, and basically you do need to reduce your sugar. High refined sugar is bad, okay? There's no answer to that, but our body is quite good at regulating itself as well, unless there's any other problems such as diabetes.
What about fructose, like corn syrup?
That's also a sugar, so it breaks it down into...
No. Okay, no.
So we do advocate a low sugar diet, just want to emphasise that, but there is no research, I'm just talking from the papers we've read, okay, so...
Yeah, so there's no link in the papers that you've read?
No, she hasn't read any papers.
She hasn't read any papers. Okay.
I think even if there's no publication or if we haven't come across it, I think it's common sense that basically with the tumor, as Zaida mentioned, is that you're going to get a cost of cells. Now these cells metabolize, right? So they're using enzymes to live. Okay, so what do enzymes feed on? The enzymes feed on sugar.
Right.
So if you reduce your sugar, you can't feed them the energy that they need to survive. The tumor can't survive. How else is it going to survive? It's going to take the sugar from your food, of course, but so the more you feed it, the longer it's going to survive.
Right. Is there another question coming?
I was just saying, what going on with that is very important as well to use proteolactic enzymes. So to create the enzyme activity in your stomach, because a lot of people, they don't eat any raw foods.
Can you say that word again?
Proteolactic.
And that means, I just want to make sure everyone understands the words you're using.
So they're basically the enzymes that are used to, if you like, digest foods in your body. So if you're not digesting foods properly, that enzyme activity won't create the right bacteria, if you like. the immune system really centres from the gut. So if the gut isn't right, you can have a whole host of problems wrong with your body. Like if you have mouth problems, it's usually from the gut. So it's, you know, that's really, really important. And putting extra minerals in the body. If you don't do that, then you can't get all your minerals from food any longer. Our soil is depleted. There are hardly any minerals in our soil.
So what are we using then?
Well,
when you say put the extra minerals in,
well, things
what are we going to use?
A simple thing maybe like Himalayan salt, to use that daily.
Yes.
Also, there's a mineral that I use called humic and fulvic acid. Now, this is something that is depleted in most soils through pollution, over farming, things like that. It's only found in 2 sources in the world. Now, this raw mineral, what it does is it actually helps repair RNA, DNA, it stops mutation of the cell as well, and it acts on the mitochondria of the cell, which is basically the inside of a cell as well as the outside of the cell, so protecting it from invasion of bacteria, viruses, things like that.
So I just want to, I might need you up on the panel. I just want to make sure my team are piggybacking exactly what she's saying.
I think the scientific community will 100% agree that eating salad, eating fresh root vegetable is 100% perfect. But I'd just like to add something that the panel has mentioned is probiotics. I'm a big fan of probiotics as well. I think that's
kind of like the little things that, what was those ones? You know the ones.
But you can get them vegan as well, when it's just bacteria as well, just in a supplement.
So they're good to take.
They're good to take. It will help with your digestive system as well. And there's a lot of research being done now on gut microbes, organisms, and how it affects your general well-being.
Sorry. Who's next? One sec. Pamela. Let me go to Pamela. She had her hand up first.
Just wanted to add about the water. The difference with the inagic water, the Kangen water, is that it's microclustered. And what that actually means is that the water molecules are smaller, so they are able to get inside the cell. So the hydration level is about 80%. So it gets into the cell, it gets out the toxins, because that's what's causing the problem. The buildup of toxins, and then we're not getting rid of it. So that's why this water is not just the alkalinity, it's the fact that it's microclustered as well. And that's what aids to get rid of the waste.
Is it safe to say, if you're maybe not getting everything right with your diet, let's say, the alkaline water will help remove the toxins a lot more? Or that's what we need to do to create this pH balanced environment?
See, so the thing with the Kangen water is that Kangen means returns to origin in Japanese. And what it means is that we're going to return the water back to the original state centuries ago, because the water that we're drinking now from the tap is contaminated. We know that. Bottled water is contaminated as well, because mainly the plastic. So even if they fill this water from a natural source, it can stay in the bottle for up to 3 years. So it's obviously not fresh and it's had to be treated. So that's what the problem is. So you're not getting good quality water. Our bodies are made up of 75% water. So it makes sense to drink good quality water to stay healthy. So you need a water that is going to get in the cells, get the toxins out. When you drink a lot of tap water or bottled water, it sits in the gut and you can actually feel it shaking. When you drink this water, that doesn't happen.
Does it absorb?
It absorbs in the cells and it flushes out. And what you'll find when you first start drinking it, you're going to the loo. It's getting rid of the toxins, That will calm down once your body starts to regulate and get used to it.
I'm going to just cut you guys there for a second. Is there another question? Okay, they're going to keep going, aren't they?
Is that okay if I just ask another question?
Yes, please.
So, have you read anything about fasting affecting your DNA? Or, changing the DNA in your stomach, or doing fasting and healing or anything like that?
So basically, some scientists did an experiment and they rested the pancreas, which means that they didn't feed it, anything, and they found that if you rest the pancreas for 30 days, you can actually reverse diabetes. So there is some evidence definitely for fasting, which is why these days the 5-2 diet is 5 and 2. You eat for 5 days, you diet for 2 days. Yeah, it's very, it has become very, very popular because it works. Because
is there a certain time in fasting?
So basically, when you say fasting, can you just be specific in terms of time? So is it 24-hour fasting, eating nothing, consuming just water? What do you mean? Can you be just
specific? So there's different ways of doing it. So for some people, they half the calories they eat. So if an adult should have about 1,200, and an adult female 1,200 calories a day.
Right.
So on fasting days, they will have half of that. So it'll be like 700 or 500 calories. For some people, they go all the way and they'll just have water, and which is what I recommend. I think if you're going to do it, just have water because it really detoxifies, and then you're allowing, because the way it works is that the only organ in your body that needs sugar is your brain, okay? Your brain doesn't work on anything else. It just works on glucose, Everything else, what happens is when you eat too much sugar, it converts into fat, like we said. So what your body does when you fast, the first thing it does, it breaks down your stored sugar, and then it goes to fat, but you need to allow it to break it down. Because every time we feel hungry and we feed ourselves, your body doesn't bother breaking down any of your stored food. So it just basically keeps on using the food you're taking in, keeps on storing the excess. And what happens is, as the liver keeps taking on more and more food to metabolize, what is happening? It builds more and more toxins in the body. So if you're allowing your body, and like we mentioned about the lymph and drinking lots of water, the whole thing about lymphatics being open, I think what that means is that, so scientifically, is that when you eat meat, the protein that comes from necessarily, that's why meat has a high risk of cancer, because meat has a lot of protein in it. So protein is very difficult for the body to clear through the lymphatic vessels, because what happens is protein goes out of when it comes out of your tissues from the cells, and it sits in the tissue. Obviously the protein that gets digested, but anything extra, it seeps out of your blood, and what happens is it sits in the tissues in between the cells. And it's your lymphatic vessels that drain that. It takes away any excess fluid that's in the tissues. But what happens is when you eat a lot of protein, it sort of clogs up in a way. So your lymphatic vessels are not able to drain the fluid so much. So which is, I think that's what the lady meant about, your lymphatic vessels are closed, they're not working properly. So, so it does make a big difference, which is why, we always advise reduce the meat in the diet.
One last thing. What about fasting in children? What's the youngest age you recommend for fasting?
I wouldn't. Because children...
When I mean fasting, elimination of certain things in the diet for children. Is that?
There's no real reason to use sugar, because unless they've got a severe allergy for something like milk, gluten, you shouldn't take it out. Or if they're intolerant, but you need to take professional advice about what they're intolerant to. But you shouldn't really just be really fasting, because they do need their glucose.
I think children's metabolism, what I've noticed is that children's metabolism works differently. So for one child can be eating just nothing but sugar, but they're fine. All their life is like, they will not touch meat, they will not touch anything, but they will just like having jam on bread, and that's it. But that's fine for them, but if that's what they need to grow, that's what they need to grow. But obviously for kids, until the age of 27, we're growing. That means that until the age of 27, we need protein in our diet. It's only after the age of 27, once we stop growing, because we need protein in our diet, because our bones, our brain is all still developing up until the age of 27. After that, it sort of stops. So, and that's when aging starts. So up until after that, that's when we need to cut down. We don't need any protein in our diet, honestly. We don't. Even if, that's why people who are vegetarian, they survive, they're fine. Yeah, okay, they suffer from B12, some of them, they suffer from B12 deficiency. But they're not, they don't actually suffer from protein deficiency. They're fine, because we don't need, because after the age of 10, we actually don't need any protein in our diet.
Do we need
you get plant protein?
So I was about to say plant protein.
Yes, of course, because of the calcium. Yeah, we do need it definitely.
I just want to say you can get protein from plant-based protein as well. Right. And the lady made a really good point because there's studies to show that fasting also reduces cholesterol level. But exactly how to do it, the jury's again a bit out there.
I think one really important thing to note, and for everybody, I think this is such an amazing thing what they're doing in Israel, and I think everyone should know this, but it hasn't been advertised, it's not out in the open. So basically this team in Israel, my colleague mentioned probiotics. I think it's the most important thing to remember, to note, because probiotics have such a major influence on the way your body absorbs food. So the team in Israel, what they found, so they did a whole lot of clinical trials, and they found that, let's say two people, let's say me and my colleague, let's say we both have banana, and for what I can eat a banana and not put on weight and I'll be fine, and she can have a banana and her sugar levels will go really high, and that's because of the probiotic, because of that gut bacteria. It works differently. So when it's discussed about sugar and how it can affect cancer, the thing is, even if you cut out sugar, you have to understand that we're not just necessarily has to be sugary food that you cut out, but what you have to understand is how does your body react to food. That's the important thing, because you may be you think you're eating healthy, you think that by eating fruits and vegetables that you're going to be fine and you're going to be okay with your, if you suffer from anything, but the difference is that how does your body react to that? It may not be. And the way, this is like going really extra but I would recommend it if you have any disease in the family. I think in order to prevent, the best way of prevention is first of all look at your family history. First of all, do you have any family history of any illnesses? Okay, the two most important things are cancer and immune disease. Now, when we say immune disease, we're talking about diabetes, we're talking about Crohn's, we're talking about autoimmune, any inflammatory disease. So inflammatory disease and cancer. If you have those in the family, they are genetic, you will get it, or very high risk of getting it. So in that way, I think what I would do is, the next thing is obviously, of course, have regular health checks, look after your diet, but also one step further is, what they do now, what these doctors in Israel recommend, is having these glucose monitors. You know how people with diabetes, they check their sugar levels? Yeah. What you can do is, whenever you have food, or whatever you're eating, afterwards, check your sugar level, okay? And you can do this if you're going to be really extra, like I say, and if you do have some significant diseases like cancer, like if you have like a really high family history of cancer where your sisters, your mom, your aunts have died and you're worried. One, of course, first of all, checking your genetic makeup, okay, getting the genetic test. Don't listen to your doctor and not get it because they don't refer you. Push your doctor to get the genetic test. And second of all, in terms of knowing what kind of food you need to eat, is getting those what I would recommend is getting the glucose monitor after each meal, checking your sugar levels and see how much your sugar level goes up. That will indicate what foods are not good for you.
Yeah, and then you guys play with that monitor. It's like a finger stick kind of thing, right? Yeah. Diane, I gotta get to Dorothy at the end as well.
Just quickly, right? Yes. I love my food, okay? And I don't believe in that fasting. I was diagnosed with diabetes, and when I reached the hospital, it was about 44.5, pretty high. Could have had a stroke. I think I had a mini stroke once, right? So my friend down there, other people who know me before, I had a more weight than this, is knowing the high glycemic and low glycemic food. And I have followed the pattern. I don't eliminate nothing. I don't eat meat because that's acidic, but more vegetarian. And I've maintained my weight. I'm 60 now, and other people see me, they can't believe I'm 60 years old. So we don't have to go extreme and not eating and I also don't believe that pattern about if this is in the family history like cancer. My mom died from cancer 2 years now, and it's not because if we follow the pattern of our parents, the way they prepare food and what they do, then you will end up with cancer. Right. So it doesn't mean to say because my mother has cancer that I'm going to have cancer. No. You have to know your food and know what to eat, and have the right equipment as well.
Well, with all of that being said, definitely, yes. I just want to piggyback again on Diane, because I said it was my mom's sister, my sister, then myself, 2 uncles and 2 aunts diagnosed, and they can't find any genetic gene. So I thank God because I have daughters, and that's why I thank God, and I kind of keep my mind.
Also, nearly 3 years now or more, I don't take one medication tablet, no metformin, no insulin. I was put on that, all right, and also for my blood pressure, I was taking just one, but I had what call this thing, I can't remember what you call it. Yeah, they go inside and clean the arteries, and so I must take angiogram.
Oh, okay.
And said I should take aspirin for the rest of my life. I said no, I don't want no aspirin, but I don't want my blood to be thin. So I found something else called something gel, which it makes the arteries a bit more flexible. Right. So when the blood goes through, it expands. So they're always alternative. I don't take no medication.
Is it because of how you eat and
how you eat?
Your intake is why you do not, and your levels are back normal?
Everything is normal. You have to know your foods and the colors of food and what is this and what is that. You have to go and study.
Before I take your question, is there someone else in the back? Okay, 2 questions. What I want to do is, I do want to speak to Darlington, our financial advisor on the end. And the reason why, because we're not going to leave him out today, the reason why I want to talk to him is because there are questions, I'm not sure if you guys have the question, but there are questions around post-cancer providers for life insurance. It is questionable because people do not always have this information, and there are providers. So I would like Darlington to please speak. I know I don't want to take everyone away. I know this has been really good, but please speak about what it is that you do and the providers. Maybe they can speak to you after if they want to know certain providers, and because it's not all cancers. Is your mic working?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, hello guys.
Hi, right? Did we forget about you at the end?
I know it's all the health people right here. It's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to keep healthy, I think it's very, very important. Right. Talking about the salad master, I remember buying it for my mom a couple years ago. And today she's very healthy. She's growing more beautiful every day. She's got patches in her eyes. The patches are all leaving. And every day I look at her, even though I wrote a check, but it's quite there. But yeah, it is worth it. Now, what I talk about, or what I'd like to talk about today is, before we actually start talking about cancer, then there's things that people actually need to put to place. Now, before coming here, I met Natasha. Natasha was a beautiful woman, great heart. And prior to coming here today, after everything I prepared to bring here today, I decided to leave it just because 2 days ago, I'm a financial advisor to a company down in Woolwich called Bagel Boss, the owner of the company. Now, 2 days ago, before this show, I got a call from the guy that owns Bagel Boss, and he said to me, Darlington, I need to see you today. I need to see you now. And I was just wondering why. Now, okay, I picked up everything and I just literally drove straight to his shop. And he brought out his phone and he showed me a cousin of his. It might be a cousin, a prior relative, and at the moment he's just been diagnosed of cancer. And he's in sick bed, and the message the guy sent to him was, please, can you get me drinks, can you get smuggled me bread or milk, whatever, into the hospital. Now, why he called me was just because he wanted to get his life insurance set up. Now, I prior offered him a life insurance. Now, I like to offer people a whole lot of things. I'm a one-stop financial guy. What that means is you get everything you need from me. Now, I have people calling me every day. A client called me a couple of days ago, and he just got the new Mercedes E220. Now, I'm happy that he does, but I'm much happier that he will be healthy to actually enjoy those products that I give to them, things like mortgages. I also do investment loans. But the most important thing, like we're all here, is be healthy to be able to enjoy these things. Now, what hurts me more in this story is I like giving out life insurances. Now, but this was actually one of my worst experiences of going out to give a life insurance quote. Why this is because I'm looking at the boy in the sick bed and I'm heartbroken. Now, he is complaining he hasn't got nobody. He's got a kid. Obviously had family relationship problems and all that. And he's literally left alone. Now, it breaks my heart that people are going to have to look at him and borrow a lead to now be able to say, okay, now I need life insurance. I need a couple, because he bought 2. Now, apart from buying 2, a couple of his friends were calling me. Now, I wasn't happy going out to obviously it's my job. Now, I kept thinking about that guy. Now, there could have been a whole lot of other things that he could have done, like setting up a life insurance earlier, prior, before even his diagnosis. Natasha asked if you could get, life insurance after your diagnosis. Yeah, post-cancer. Yeah, of course you can. But then why don't you get it before you get cancer? Do you understand what I mean? Yes. Prevention is better than cure. Now, why I say you get it before you get cancer is, now, if you had it before cancer, now you live a more comfortable cancer life. I know it's not easy to be cancer, to have cancer, to be a cancer patient. I know they go through a lot. But I mean, having things that what Natasha do, like the boarding system, being able to eat what you want, whilst you're there, being able to actually enjoy a few other things around there, it's still something. I mean, I like to think that it gives you a little bit of life. You know what I mean? Yes. Now, going through that is, now I looked at him and I said to myself, I wish I could have offered him a life insurance at that point in time, but I can't. Now, yes, a lot of people can get life insurance after.
He can't because he's diagnosed at this present
moment.
Yeah,
he is diagnosed. I can't offer him life insurance right now. And I look at everybody around him buying life insurance just because of him. Now, I had 4 clients on the same day buy big policies. 4 clients. Now, Bagel Boss bought 2. 2 of his friends called and they were just rushing out the house. They don't have to rush to come and do it. And I previously offered him this. Now, I want people to understand. What I want people to understand is, yes, you can't get life insurance after cancer, but then that depends on what cancer you went through, because certain cancers do come back, like what they were saying. Right. Now, if you have a cancer that we feel that might come back, we might not be able to offer you a life insurance. Right. Now, but yes, you can if you have cancer of the breast and I think
certain cancers.
Yeah, do they have the leg? Do they have cancer of the leg? Something like that. Yeah. And I mean, after prior treatment, you can't get a life insurance. But then what people don't also understand is the main reason and the main importance of having these things in place. It's not just life insurance. It's not just paying the money. Now, when you're paying it, I just want people to have something at the back of their mind. Now, Africans, especially Afro-Caribbeans, put together, especially now, we are deficient in life insurance. And now I look at it, and it's given me reasons to think, and I know it's given me reasons to know that this is the reason why we don't have our third generations coming through. Now, the reason is because if you don't have anything to leave for anybody, then they won't have anything to leave for nobody, which is just the truth. Now, I will always say to people, life insurance is literally based on affordability. Now, people say life insurance don't pay. Pretty much I doubt it. If you say life insurance don't pay, then you just don't understand it. Now, most of the big companies you see out there that do life insurance is like, Aviva, Scottish Widows. Those companies are owned by big hedge fund companies, like most of them are banks. Now, they've been in existence since 1884, that's how much most of them have been. And they've maintained a period of 98%. Now, from 1884 till today, and a period of 98%, 95 to 98% every other single year, then someone should tell me they're doing something right? So this is why I encourage people to do this. And if you don't have it, I just want to put people on this state of mind and say now, a lot of people in here, especially black people, they say, oh, before we leave the family or before anything, we'll have a whole lot to leave for the family. We'll probably paid off the mortgages and all that. Well, pretty much it doesn't happen most of the time. I mean, statistically, I have it on the books. I know how many people especially, like I talk about black people because I'm very experienced. I know a lot about that. Black. Now, because I am black. I grew up in the black community too. So now I talk about this, and I know the amount of actually Afro-Caribbean people that actually loses their property in this country. Now, literally every 5, 6 out of 10 Afro-Caribbean people that buys a property in this country loses it. Now, then again, you wonder where is our third generation going? Now, if we can't have this property put in place, if we can have this property to live for our kids to stay in, they wouldn't have this property to live for someone else. So we need to strive to make sure that we have these things in place. Now, Asians are doing very good at it. They're doing very great. 47% of Asians claim insurance in this country. Now, go to Plumstead. they own literally the whole strips of debt. We're in a country that runs on a financial credit system. What that means is that you have to be credible. Then my point is, make yourself credible. Get a life insurance.
Get a life insurance.
Make sure that your future is protected. Make sure that the future of your kids is protected. And when you have life insurance as well, like you have certain peace of mind in making sure that if things do come up, then you can always stand up and and do something about it. I don't really like to talk about life insurance, really and truly, because
it's a hard subject.
Yeah.
It feels like you've got the salesman at you, just wanting to shove this down your throat.
True.
But I do believe in this because my sister, and my sister's my strength. In this whole my fight. My sister fought 7 years, and she fought it really strong. However, one thing I know from we were young, she put life insurance in place. I didn't even think nothing about it. But she put life insurance in place from we were young, I guess in our 20s, or even younger maybe. And when things started cascading into not the best situation, I think that was a peace of mind she had to some degree, because once your life starts flashing in front of your eyes, being diagnosed with something that can take your life, you start to think, and it becomes like a heavy burden. You have this on your head now, what's gonna happen to my children? And I saw it on my sister's mind. I saw it, she didn't say it, but I saw this on her mind as the days were getting worse. And thank God that her life insurance was in place, because it was able to help her be buried, and her children are able to have a payout. And I stress, I know we saved Darlington and he's down at the end, and it may not seem so important opposed to the scientists and my cancer survivor and my health guru and the alkaline water. But these things are all this is so important, even going to that end of the table, because that being put in place in the event that something happens to us, it's so important, because the way this world is now and the way how much a funeral is, the minute something happens, we're now looking for a thing. We put a thing on what's those things to collect the money online. You know what I'm talking about, guys. And we are now praying and asking people from every corner to help us bury our loved one. Yeah. So yes, Darlington, I thank you for being on the Health Dream Team panel.
One more thing I want to add.
Please, I'm not stopping you.
I just want to talk about if you actually have a family now, the NHS system is actually going crazy. Now, I have 2 life insurances on my own. I'm not saying buy 2 life insurances or whatever. Now, I have reasons for having them. Now, yes. I have a son that plays football. He's covered for broken bones. And a life insurance policy on that. And I have another one which covers for serious illness cover, then again for him, because people get sick. That's the important thing. And then when you talk about people getting sick, you hear things like, there's waiting list on the NHS. Now, what is waiting list? You're going to be talking about waiting list where there's empty beds in the hospital, every hospital. Right. Literally. Now, what a waiting list to me is, there's no affordability to care you, or to take you, cure whatever sickness you have going on. Now, if you have a life insurance policy now, it's normally attached to something that we call serious or critical illness cover. Now, what that will allow you to do is, it would actually allow, it's beneficial for not just you, for you and the little kids, especially when you have kids. Kids are vulnerable to sicknesses, illnesses. Now, you can't take that away. Like my son, he's a little kid. He's vulnerable to breaking bones anytime he plays professional football. So I have to make sure I have this in place. Now, what they can benefit from that is, you can literally, it pays out. The serious illness cover part of your life insurance will normally pay you 70 to 75%, which is about £7,000 to £8,000 on your life insurance policy. Now, it would give you a balance that you would be able to take this child, or even if it's yourself, to like a private medical hospital, get treated. And whilst you're doing that, you're able to keep your earnings, your income stable as well. Things like you'll be able to pay your car insurance, pay the mortgage if it needs to go, obviously take some time off work, and have a life balance. It's literally the
important. I don't like to talk about life insurance, like I said
You
earlier.
sound like you do.
You know, I've been doing mortgages and car finances give me a lot more money than life insurance, but yeah, I mean, it's really, really good to have one in place. Thank you, guys.
So, yes, what we'll do also, we will have a little bit of time for you guys to talk, I guess, more intimately with everyone on the panel. But we still had, thank you again, Darlington, we still have 2 other questions. You guys still want to pose your questions?
I just have 2 quick questions.
Yes, please.
Earlier on, I wasn't here and you didn't hear much about the water. But what I wanted to ask, if you filter water, does that make any difference? Because you can see you purify the water, for instance, you put a machine out on it, and so it filters my water, so I don't actually drink the water from the tap. I use it from this little machine that is linked to the tap. Does that ever make a difference?
Is it just like let's say a Brita water filter system? Just these regular kind of ones that we can buy?
Yes, and yeah, they come and they sort of...
Okay, so kind of like a Brita, if you guys know.
If it's attached to the tap, it may be reverse osmosis, which is a very good type of
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Okay.
If it's reverse osmosis water, then it might, if it's that, which it sounds like, then that is very good, but I don't know if it is.
How would she know if it's reverse osmosis?
Well, it's like a, how can I say, it comes in like a little tube, and you've got a tube attached at the bottom underneath your sink.
Yes.
And it kind of like a round, with rounded ends, and it's like a tube.
I know it's attached under the...
Yeah.
You might have to take a picture and get it over to this one. Okay.
Sorry, can I just say, at the end of the day, I will promote the best, okay? Because inside the machine there are titanium plates, and that's what put the negative charge in the water. What I'm quite happy to do, if you know, with your permission, is to come along and test it. That will give you the best answer, because if you see it for yourself, my suspicions is that it was probably making the water more acidic.
Really?
In the past, I've tested people with Brita filters, and the cartridge that's been used, it's actually making the water acidic. So what I would offer is to come along, actually do a demonstration and test it for you, so you've got that peace of mind to know if it's okay. Because what we're talking about the water, it isn't just about the alkalinity. Alkalinity is one bit of it. The thing about it is the active hydrogen in the water, which is help towards the healing, because we're talking about getting the cells flushed out, getting the toxins out, and getting the healing going on in the body. So that's why this water, it's just more than just the alkalinity. But I'm quite happy to come along and do that for you.
I welcome you to do that for me.
That's
yes. And just very quickly, the other question was about diabetes. I think someone said if you fast, is it 30 days, something like that? It can reverse.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I wonder, does that apply to someone who is on insulin?
On insulin?
No, if you're type 1, if you're type 1 diabetes, no, you shouldn't. You need your insulin, definitely, yeah. Or if you're type 2 and on insulin.
Just for someone else on insulin.
Yeah, you do need it.
Okay. One more question.
Can I just say that somebody who I know was diagnosed with diabetes type 2 in 2009. When he drank the water for 6 months solidly, the doctor actually took him off his medication because he was able to sort out his blood sugar level just from drinking the water. He did change his diet and was conscious about what he was eating, but the water played a really, really big part in it. And so I've got somebody, you know, you could speak to if you want to, who was able to come off medication because he drank the water consistently.
Right.
Yes. To do that.
Yes. One more question. And then we throw you out.
Just to appeal to anyone on the panel, because it's all very well, like, you know, people have all these suggestions, not suggestions, sorry, tested facts, I'll say that back. What about people that are on low incomes? Have you got any, like, just inexpensive ways that people can, you know, monitor their health and be consistent with it Because, you know, all these products may not be accessible to people that are on low incomes.
Well, I think the NHS does a really good job of saying, you know, eating well, eating fresh, eating vegetables, eating fruit, minimising red meat, exercise, looking after your mental health, well-being. So these are really simple concepts that they've done really well to do. And it's kind of tapping into that, you know, and if you want to take it to the next level, how much you want to invest in. But there is, you know, there is a lot of help out there already on the NHS that gives you the bare information that you need, and that's very, very accessible, and that is, it's not much money.
Also, I think it's education, it's information. Having that education and the right education, I mean, I don't have anything against nutritionists, but I feel like sometimes the advice you get given by different nutritionists is always varies, and also some key things that can make such a big difference to your health. It sometimes it sort of stands me that sometimes they they say that's okay. So and I get this because I have patients that come and they clearly have suffered because of having this long-term diet, you know, the same, so they've been eating in exactly the same way for a long time, and they've suffered from the consequences. And yet they go to these nutritionists, especially when they get referred by NHS, they go see these nutritionists, and the nutritionists turn around to them and say, no, that's fine, carry on. One big example is an egg every day. When you have an egg every day, okay, you don't need to eat anything else the whole day, because you get all your cholesterol, you get all your protein for the day. Now, what I see is a lot of people having eggs every day, and then they wonder why they're ill, or you know, something like that. It can be really small. It can be a small thing, and you might not realize that plays a key part. So even if you're on a low income, like getting the right education, that's really vital.
I think it's about awareness of local produce, things like that. Like I live now near a farm that has local produce. So I think these are important places, and you can buy the produce. So these are places where, you know, they're not going to be spraying it down with pesticides and so forth. So these are places, and that awareness level, we need to know where to go. And this is why we do have this platform. I know the time is running.
Can I just really
oh, okay.
that the reason why there's a lot of misconceptions, misunderstanding about nutrition is because the research is still in its primitive infancy. That's why even the NHS, I went to a conference and I asked the head nutritionist, why are we getting conflicting information? Why are patients coming back more confused? Because there's no standard protocol, there's no clear research, so it's up to you to kind of do a trial and test to really to see what that's my point.
And I'm just going to say, I know when the doctors say that it's in this, where they are, it's no clear research at the moment. I know that you guys are going to remember that we were, you know, growing the herbs from we were born, and so these things are important to keep alive. Like I think through time we've allowed some things to go, you know, where we were able. Now you're able to just grow your basil in the window. You can do all these herbs that you don't need to keep on running to the shop for, because you can grow them in the window and keep them going, so you know that they're free of the pesticides. So these are the things. It's about, I guess, kind of like, is it horticulture, kind of that thing as well, you know, reminding ourselves to grow our own things as much as we can. We can do a potato at home, we can do a tomato at home, the basil, you know, these little things we're still able to grow right now. You know, I started as well, so I know they are growing. But let me take this, two men with two questions at the end. I'm gonna take your question first, please. Yes.
Yes. It's more. I mean, could you please tell us something about life cover for people with pre-existing conditions that are managed?
Well, like I said earlier, it's really best to actually have these life insurances whilst you're still healthy. What if you ain't diagnosed yet? Go and get one before you actually go diagnose yourself for any illness.
Yeah.
Now that is my
But that's what we're saying in a whole, because if you're asking, he's asking about pre-existing conditions now.
Yeah, and why is it so expensive in most places?
Well, because you've waited, because they don't want to insure you, you're sick.
Yeah, just like Natasha said, it's just because of the fact that nobody knows what's going to happen to you when you have an existing condition.
Right.
So you're a risk.
And then I guess it also goes with what the condition is and what provider is willing to work with you. So I guess, well, it's just like car insurance. Everyone doesn't want to insure you.
Sorry to cut you out. Well, if you have sicknesses like hay fever, you can still get it. Or malaria, you can still get it, obviously.
Yeah, but I guess that's going to be one-to-one.
Yeah.
You know, this is, we're here monthly, so Darlington will be able to answer that, I guess more on a one-to-one if you have a condition or someone, one of your loved ones, and you want to find out a bit more. Can I please take, because we're running out of time, I'm going to take the question in the back and then one more. Yes, my love.
Yes, I just wanted to point out something. And we talked about growing things at home, where like growing fruit, vegetables. I would advise you to be careful unless your borough approves it because of the pollution in London.
Right.
Because if you grow something in London, you may not be allowed to eat.
Okay, so are you telling me the bathroom with my windows no good?
And some of the things
What's that? I want to hear. Say that, please.
I will let the doctor answer.
Oh, yes.
Someone was saying that if an aeroplane flies over your crop, then it's not organic anymore. So
Okay.
there's really, really strict conditions of what's organic or not organic. And
But even in my house, in the window, and I'm not
if
talking
you're
about...
in central London with the fumes coming out, it's probably not that good for you to eat. That's a good point, the environmental pollution.
Right, so environment. Environment is something we need to think about as well.
Yeah, and
Okay, it sounds like the questions are rolling now.
so touching on the food
Please.
as well, there was an Earth Summit done on soil mineral depletion
Right.
in 1999.
Okay.
Now, before that, they had tested the soil about 70 years ago.
Yes.
And at that soil summit, they discovered that in Europe, the soil is actually 75% deplete of the essential minerals that we need. So to sum it up, basically, there was an analysis done where they had a bowl of spinach. Somebody, like, if you had a bowl of spinach in 1947,
Yes.
you would now have to eat 52 bowls of spinach now to get the
Because
same
of the
mineral
soil.
content back in 1947. So that just shows you how
Right.
deficient our food is anyway.
What are we going to do, guys? Oh, God.
There are such things that you can do
To put into the soil,
the soil
yes.
that is being used now for to grow, most of our foods. They actually only added 3 minerals, which is phosphorus, I think it's potassium and nitrogen. I'm not sure
Right.
if that's a 3.
Right.
But basically, we need over 88 minerals. So all that does is create
90. 90.
What about organic
all that organic soil.
Yeah.
So organic soil can only be
Oh.
organic after it's been cultured for 7 years. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's kind of some information I know as well. I'm going to take this last question, guys. This is really good. I'm really appreciating this. But we are here monthly, and I would really encourage everyone, if you could come back, and please stay a part of this, because I feel like we can get some things done with this platform. Some the questions answered, that we're all kind of questioning, even me as I stand up here, to hear everything that I've heard today helps in so many ways. Let me take this question.
Yeah, my question is, I've seen some situations around London where their food, I mean, some vegetable and vegetable which are grown in some bunkers, some wood bunkers, down under some.
Right.
No soil involved. Now, what do you say about them kind of...
Are you asking me?
I think you need a horticulturist on the table.
Exactly. I think we need a horticulturist on the table. Are you that? You're everything. He's content over everything.
Yeah, I've seen that on TV program.
Wow.
I mean, they're being grown
Down onto the bunkers
in
and...
the bunkers, yes. And a lot of this happens in around central London.
Hydroponics.
Oh,
Water.
the high...
That's bad water underneath it. There's no soil.
No, they pump water in there.
Yeah.
Artificial minerals.
So is it good? Is it bad?
Is it, I mean, that's my
That's your question.
I think I've read something or heard something, I don't really know about it, but where scientists are trying to increase the efficiency and productivity by growing plants and crops in a scientific lab. So if you have a lab kind of environment of artificial lab, water, then you can actually grow it in plants anywhere. So whether that's kind of an experimental thing of trying to grow crops in any kind of environment.
Because a lot of vegetables being raised, I mean, harvested from there, it goes straight to the restaurants.
It'd probably be a kind of environment, like an artificial environment, I imagine, because obviously a plant needs sunlight and all the nutrients, so I imagine they've kind of set it up in a bit million lab, kind of where they've got artificial sunlight, artificial temperature all set up. That's what I presume they probably did.
Oh wow, this is great. I'm gonna have to conclude today, guys. I want to thank the Health Dream Team for all of your answers, everything that you're here, everything that you're about. I thank you guys for being here. I thank you guys for coming out and supporting the event. Please come back out. Thank you. Please come back out. We'll have the dates again on Eventbrite. And this is a great platform. Please, I mean, the questions are coming more and more, but the time is running out, so I will conclude. I will thank my media team, as I always do. Thank you, Content Over Everything, and Dan, DW Pro Audio. And also my team, Bonded Thru Cancer team is here as well. My board, my trustees, part of them are here today. So thank you guys for coming out. And we're here again. One more thing I'm gonna ask before you guys go. There's a questionnaire on your seats. Please, everyone, there was a pen with the please answer. We need this information so we can receive some funding, some grants, some ongoing help and support. So please, before you guys go, please fill out the questionnaire. It's around the buddy system and the need. If someone is diagnosed, yourselves, or a friend or family member that may need the support, and how important the buddy system is to you. So thank you. I am Natasha Veeraswamy, the CEO and founder of Bonded Thru Cancer, and I thank you again so much.
Thank
you. You better clap. Thank you guys. You can talk to them now. They're free. Hello.
How you doing?
How are you?